So 99% of the money was managed through foreign governments, NGOs, foreign NGOs, and companies. The companies that were implementing the projects are foreign companies. An example is a housing project that was to be done, and they sent calls for bids, and a lot of the money was spent translating material from Spanish to French. To me, the money...
Sorry, you mean money was spent on translators?
On translators. Mm-hmm. Foreign translators, because the bidding company was from Spain. I don't know why the company doesn't pay or doesn't produce its document in the language of Haiti. But this is just an example. Another one is one of the biggest projects was the building of a hospital. And that hospital was to be built to replace the current general hospital, the main hospital in Port-au-Prince. To this day, it has not been built. And there are kinds of analysis of why this is the case. So what was actually done with the money is some of the money that was spent on Red Cross activity in the first few days, because food was provided, water was provided, and there were some temporary shelters. But all of the stuff that dealt with building housing,
the actual reconstruction,
new housing, new reconstruction, none of that has happened. So obviously, if you were talking about a few $1 million, that would be okay. But if you're talking about $13 billion, then there's some serious investigation that has to be done.
We just had in the last hour of our program the representative from UNICEF on, the CEO of UNICEF, who was saying he was actually on the ground in Port-au-Prince. He said he was seeing progress, that although you were seeing people in camps at this point, a shocking number of people still in camps, that there was construction happening, that he was actually encouraged by what he was seeing.
Yeah, but he is from what community? These are people who are getting paid huge amount of money, overheads and everything. I think it's the Haitians that we need to ask those questions. The Haitians living in Haiti. Currently, according to a 2014 UN report, there are 85,000 people in displacement camps, half of which do not have latrines. That's a UN report. Okay, so this is just one example. Another one is USAID was building some housing. At first, they said the project was going to cost $59 million. Then they changed their story and said, no, it's going to be $97 million. And then at the same time, they increased the cost like that, almost doubling it. They were projecting to build 15,000 houses, and they decided, no, we're going to build 2,649. So far, they've only built 900. So there is all kinds of evidence.
But who's accountable for that money? Who's accountable for that pot of money?
So they created this thing called the Interim Haiti Reconstruction Fund that was under the guidance of Bill Clinton. This thing unfolded, and we don't know anymore who is managing the fund.
But reconstruction is continuing, so that's why I'm just wondering who is now. I understand what you're saying, that at the time it was Bill Clinton and the then leader of Haiti, but now who is in charge?
It's not clear, because that's the issue of the foreign dictatorship. Nobody is accountable, because they create this so-called government of Haiti that doesn't have any authority on anything. I'll just give you another example, because I mentioned that there were 3 disasters.
Right.
The coup d'etat of 2004 that removed legitimate leadership and Haitian leadership and put puppet presidents in there, including 7,000 elected officials that were removed. The earthquake that caused the devastation in Port-au-Prince and Léogâne and Jacmel. And the third one is unrelated to the earthquake. It's the cholera epidemic that has so far infected 1 million people and killed over 10,000. And that there's been several scientific studies conducted independently, including by the UN, that all point to a clear conclusion that it was UN soldiers who contaminated the water because they did not manage their sewage properly in Mirebalais, that led to this contamination that caused so much death. a number of Haitians, victims and survivors of cholera epidemic, sued the UN and at a United States tribunal. And just this week, a couple of days ago, they deemed that the UN cannot be sued.
We're unfortunately out of time. There's a lot that you brought up there just in the last 30 seconds that I think would require a little bit more exploration on our part. But Jean Saint-Vil, thanks very much for coming in today.
Thank you, Alan.
Jean Saint-Vil came to Canada from Haiti about 30 years ago. He's the host of Haitian radio programs on community radio stations in Ottawa. As I mentioned, more to follow up.